Hi everyone, this is another vinyl update video. I did another version of this video, and I wasn't particularly happy with it, so I've sort of redone it. And I've actually got a shit ton of stuff to show off. I think the last one I did was back in October, late September. So yeah, first up, I'm showing this. This is Creedence Clearwater Revival, the complete studio albums. Yeah, these aren't half bad pressings, but unfortunately the packaging is pretty dreadful, and they've really sort of fudged up the colours on some of these. I mean, Cosmo's Factory is all blocky, and I think it's... I'm going to try to find it. Ah yes, here it is. Bayou Country. It's all sort of browny when it's meant to be sort of green, which is a bit of a cock up. But yeah, you know, they're okay pressings. I had to replace William the Poor Boys because it had a massive sort of gash in there. Which sort of, if anyone knows, if you get a massive sort of gash in vinyl, you get loud pops, and yeah, that can be pretty distracting at times. So yeah, what else have I got? Right, I'll get some of these out. I bought some. I bought these two in Taunton. Fun House by Stooges. You know, you probably already know, one of the most important albums ever made. So bugger all, but it's gone down as pretty much the forerunner of punk rock. FFS, which is Franz Ferdinand Sparks. Well, it's an okay album. There's some very good stuff on there, but yet again, there's some bits of it, like I don't know, the second side, which are a bit meh. But Dictator's Son is a brilliant track, where they sort of they do these sort of weird sort of rhyming bits, where they rhyme sort of Hugo Boss with dental floss. Quite funny. I've also got some tapes here. Get these out of the way as well. One thing is, I love sort of do-it-yourself labels. Currently, there's a thriving scene of labels doing stuff on CDRs and cassettes. First off, I'd like to talk a bit about Solid 7. Gareth, who runs it, he's based in Bridgend. And funny enough, I think he's been on the vinyl community a couple of times. He's a real big vinyl collector. But he runs a label called Solid 7. And just one day I just decided to buy one of his releases. And he was releasing this. Gary Lee Conner, Under the Weeping Willow Tree, a lifetime of demos. Gary Lee Conner, if you didn't know, he was a guitarist in the Screaming Trees, and Gareth, he's a massive Screaming Trees fan. He also threw this in a stoner metal cassette. I haven't really given them an in-depth thing, but listen. But I mean, the Gary Lee Conner one's pretty good. It's you know, I'm not really knowledgeable about the Screaming Trees. I don't have any of their albums, but it's sort of very psychedelic. Sort of hard rock sound, pretty much up my street. I also did an interview with a Blackpool based label called Must Die Records, and I ordered this from them. Good Things. I think it's a sort of folky, sort of punky sort of thing. I listened to it on Bandcamp and I quite liked it. They also sent through some CD of they do a festival in Blackpool called the Evil Thing, well, Other Worlds. Sorry, Other Worlds Festival. And I've got this one, Stuart Chalmers, Loop Fantasy #1. They do a lot of sort of experimental noise releases as well. I've also managed to get this through some promotional stuff. Samande. Last night I did an interview with Patrick, I think it's Patrick Patterson, and Steve from the band. For those who don't know, Samande are a bit of a cult act. They never really sold so much. They had some minor success in America, but they were sort of a big sort of funk collective from the UK. Yeah, I was chatting with them last night, and they said that there's a whole sort of lost generation of sort of black British musicians. You know, people back then, people just didn't really care about sort of what black musicians were doing, and I wholeheartedly recommend Samande's first 3 albums. They really are absolutely brilliant. They've been sampled to death by hip hop producers. They're a source of many a sort of break. You know, absolutely brilliant. I also managed to get a promotional copy of Jeff Lynne's ELO, Alone in the Universe. Now, I do admit I do have a soft spot for Jeff Lynne's work. I'm not a fanatic, but I like a good amount of it. And, well, I do admit that, you know, about 50% of the stuff on there is good. You know, you've got tracks like Dirty to the Bone, When the Night Comes. You know, I did warm to it a little bit, but it does feel like more of a fan-pleasing album, you know, where you listen to an album and all the elements are there, but something feels missing. Anyways, back to the vinyl. I have been going through a massive Dexys Midnight Runners phase. I managed to get these pretty cheap. This is the second copy I've had to get because the first one had skipping. And this one's sort of kind of a bit beat up. I'm going to keep it, you know, I can't be asked. I've had a lot of grief with vinyl, like buying it online. I bought this in Bristol, 2 Rye A. And I mean, these are both great albums, but this one is the one I like. It really gets maligned because of Come On Eileen. I mean, Come On Eileen is a bad song, but you know, the rest of it, you know, I don't really give a toss at its tone at the end of the album, because there's so many great tracks on there, like Let's Make This Precious, the Celtic Soul Brothers, a really good cover version of Jackie Wilson, I'm in Heaven When You Smile, which is actually way better than the Van Morrison one, and I absolutely love the Van Morrison version, but that version just is way better. I've also got Pog by the Breeders, and I actually don't think I've given this a proper listen yet. You know, it's meant to be a sort of a classic of alternative rock. You know, it was released at a time when the Pixies were sort of falling apart, and sort of after the Pixies fell apart, sort of Kim Deal sort of ended up in the limelight. Yeah, from what I've listened to it, it's pretty good, but I've not given it really a proper listen, which I really need to do. Femmes, Hello Ground, got this in Plastic Wax in Bristol. This is a really good album. I've got their debut, a reissue of their debut, which, you know, their debu's a classic, with sort of 80s college rock. But this one is a lot more darker. There's no songs like Gone Daddy Gone or Blister in the Sun and stuff like that. It's a lot darker. I mean, the first track, Country Death Song's about some murder. And there's a lot of stuff about Gordon Gano's spiritual beliefs, but it's not done in a way that sounds preachy or too forceful in that respect, and it's done quite tastefully, I suppose. Yeah, the Thugs, it crawled into my hand honest. I traded in a load of records for this. I really have mixed feelings about this album. There's some really great stuff on there. They weren't as good as The Mothers of Invention, but they had some really great songs. I mean, I used to have a copy of their second one, which they did for ESP discs. The label who famously didn't pay their artists, so a lot of them ended up on Prees. I know the Thugs did, so did Pearls Before Swine. But yeah, I had a copy of that, and it was one of the worst pressings I've ever owned. It just sounded horrible, and this is despite the fact that there wasn't a single scratch on the record. It sounded horrible. It sounded like muffled in one channel. I also got this recently, Guitar Romantic by the Exploding Hearts. This is just amazing, an amazing record. They were more or less a group one of those groups who sort of wore their influences on their sleeve. It sounds a bit like The Clash, the Buzzcocks. On paper it doesn't sound exactly exciting, but in practice the songs are just so good. You can imagine the artists they're trying to imitate singing them, and they sound just as good. Amazing record. And it's sad because like three of them, all of them except for the guitarist, like died in a car crash. I discovered them via Kip from Pains of Being Pure at Heart. You know, I interviewed him in Bristol. He mentioned them. This one is a recent one I got through the post. The Black record by Rocket from the Tombs. Now I don't actually have the sort of Rocket from the Tombs live album. I mean, for those who don't know, they were a Cleveland punk band who existed for about 100 days or something like that. They're sort of like the Ohio equivalent of, I don't know, Flowers of Romance, or was it the Crucial Three, or big in Japan, were to Liverpool. They were a band that sort of splintered off into other more well-known bands like the Dead Boys and Perubu. So yeah, this isn't one record that I was particularly overexcited about, and I don't know why I bought it. And funny enough, it's on silver vinyl. I don't know why I bought it, but I did. But I listened to it, and it's actually a pretty good album. I mean, tracks like Strychnine, Full of Soul. Compared to Perubu, it's much more sort of straight ahead, sort of garage rock sounding. And I enjoyed it. It's a really solid album, and definitely a keeper. And sort of last but not least, I got this CD box set through Hawkwind. This is Your Captain speaking. Your captain is dead. Now I don't know why it took so long to get into this band. I've had a lot of their sort of contemporaries music. I don't know. I like the Pink Fairies. You know, Kings of Oblivion is one of my favourite albums. I've also got the Edgar Broughton Band, their first album, Wassa Wassa, on vinyl. One of the only sort of non-EMI boxed Harvest pressings I've got. This one has, what was it, the first 4 or so albums. What We're in Search of Space, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. in the Hall of the Mountain Grill. Plus, there's like loads of live stuff. They got Space Ritual, the 1999 party, Greasy Truckers party, some CD full of singles. Really good box set, and I know not everything sounds brilliant, but some of the sort of newer sort of remasters on there actually sound quite good. I mean, I've looked at the waveforms, and it isn't sort of a square waveform. You know, there's not that much compression, and the levels very rarely get into the red. This is how CDs should be made. You know, I don't like all those sort of really loud compressed remasters. They do get very sort of nauseating after a while. And if you do music that, you know, even sort of music which sounds quiet, I don't know. I had a CD of these New Puritans. Their music is very sort of quiet sounding, and even that was brick walled. But yeah, this is absolutely brilliant. Highly recommended. You know, it's £20, and you get 4 classic Hawkwind albums, plus a ton of live stuff. It really is a bargain. Anyone wanting to make a dent in start a Hawkwind collection, but I actually do prefer some of their later albums. I've been listening to a lot of their late 70s stuff on YouTube and on Spotify, and I do have more of a soft spot for that. Like Quartz Strangest in Charm, the Hawk Lords album, and that one, I can't remember the name of it, but there's one track where there's one song about J.G. Ballard's novel High Rise. That sort of era, I think it's the Robert Calvert era, is one I particularly like. So I've got a lot of their sort of albums that I still want to get. But I mean, this is a really good primer, and in Search for Space and Hall of the Mountain Grill are great records, and plus Space Ritual is probably one of the best live albums ever made. You know, really worth it. So yeah, I've got a lot more coming through. I was meant to have another Dexys album, which I ordered ages ago, but somehow it hasn't arrived, and it was meant to arrive on Friday. So it was that coloured reissue of Don't Stand Me Down. Unfortunately, you know, it just hasn't arrived. But yeah, I'm looking forward next month. You know, my big and probably only vinyl purchase, which I'm going to have next month, is Swans are re-releasing White Light from the Mouth of Infinity in Love of Life. I got so excited I just bought it straight away and sold off my sort of OG of that. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to next month. Wanted those for ages. But yeah, until then, goodbye.